This is kits and wagers for game week 9 in the Premier League. We got 6 bets talking about 6 matches in the Premier League this week. Chris, welcome aboard to the Premier League here. We got we're coming off some fresh European matches, which always makes it a little more difficult when betting. And I did some extra research this week. I'm not sure if it helped, but how's it going on this wonderful Friday here?
It's going well. We're coming off a big week. I think, I started the season off on a bit of a rocky start, to say the least. But we have been battling back the past couple of weeks here. Hit a big Aston Villa bet last weekend. That was plus 245. Hit another big bet. And somehow, against all odds, I'm back up, and I couldn't be more happy about it. So coming to you feeling pretty confident for the week, which probably means that I've got a bunch of losers, but I think we've got some good stuff lined up here. But more importantly, had a big launch last night. My fiance has been working on a brand launch for Salmon Bay FC, which is a USLW women's soccer pre-professional soccer team here in Seattle.
Can you say that again? USLW pre-professional.
Professional. Yeah, lots to unpack there, okay. But essentially it's like USL for women. So we have, if you're in stateside here, I grew up in Madison, which is Forward Madison. There's like Charleston Battery. There's, teams all over the place. They're becoming more and more popular. And so this is, there's a Ballard FC here, which is essentially what I would call a brother club of the USLW team, which is Salmon Bay FC. So I got this fresh new swag on. I'm a seed investor on the swag, cool hat. And then of course I got the scarf, which I've got upside down, which is a classic move here. But really cool design, really cool colors. Go give them a follow on Instagram or wherever you're on social media. They've got some really cool content out there. So I went to the launch party last night, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, aside from that, I'm ready to hit some bets here this week.
Does this mean we get some sponsorship money from Salmon Bay FC or what's going on here?
I'm not privy to the economics of it all, but I feel like maybe it would be the other way around. I'm not sure. But I will say that I will be in attendance for games. We've got some, maybe we can get a scarf out to Michigan for you, which would really be the right move, just to support the team, support the game, grow in the game. So that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, I got a scarf wall behind me with the World Cup poster. So we need some more scarves back there.
You could compliment the Ballard FC jersey you've got too. So, the kits have not dropped yet, but best believe that I will be purchasing one at some point.
There we go, Salmon Bay FC. So that for the time being, that took my mind a little bit off of my loss last Monday. Nottingham Forest. I'm still upset about it. Nottingham Forest actually play today, Friday, and I do have a bet on that article. Check it out, rotowire.com/soccer. I do have I opened the article talking about being pissed off when losing bets. So make sure you check that out, because I'm still upset about that Nottingham Forest one. So if you're interested in betting in Friday's Nottingham Forest Leicester City match, check that out. But we are talking about Saturday and Sunday matches is what we're doing. Chris, your first one up is, I wrote about Brentford and Ipswich Town, and you got another Brentford Ipswich Town bet going on. Brentford are minus 165 to win. That's steadily gone up. They were minus 130 10 days ago. Now they're minus 165. Ipswich plus 400. The one thing I want to point out before sending it over to you, they got a bunch of injuries on their back line. They had to mix up their back four in their last game, which didn't work out well. They lost 2-0 at home against Everton, but Jacob Greaves, arguably their best center back, he's still out. And then their two right backs are both out. Axel Tuanzebe and Ben Johnson are both out. So they had to mix some things up. And it's not a great situation when you're going on the road against any Premier League side. You're basically starting championship level defenders. Cameron Burgess got his first start last week. I got Harrison Clark in this 11. He has not started a game yet. Maybe he's going to start, maybe he won't, but pretty rough situation. So what's your read on this game?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of preface what my read on this game is like, Ipswich is really struggling against, obviously much better competition. A lot of guys, unless you're deep into the championship, a lot of guys that might come as a couple, some no name. I wouldn't say they're no name players, but not necessarily names I'm familiar with. So Brentford, on the other hand, they're coming off a kind of a tough loss to United last weekend, but they've been really strong, really, really strong at home, I feel like, this season. And so I'm gonna lean on that in terms, as well as Ipswich has been pretty poor away. Brentford, they've got 10 points in 4 matches at home. They've scored tied for league leading, 11 goals scored at home, and they've conceded 6 goals. Meanwhile, Ipswich, they're winless away from home. Kind of, haven't been great this season. They've got 2 points in 4 matches, which is, you'd like to see that be a little bit better. But more importantly, they've conceded 9 goals away. All that kind of leads me to, a pretty straight up bet here. And I know Adam's probably got a comment on the straight up bet comment there. But Brentford money line over to win, and then over 2.5 goals is plus 125. You're getting plus odds there. And you just look at like I mentioned, the goals scored and the goals conceded. I think that's a recipe for the over 2.5. And I think this is one bet that I like.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. I got something similar in the article. Just feels like a great spot for Brentford, coming off a loss, so they got motivation with that. Coming back home, they got motivation with that. That's something Thomas Frank always builds on, playing these home matches, living off the crowd. And then again, if you have these more or less championship level back line, it just feels like a pretty good spot. Ipswich have battled in a lot of matches, but take away their back line on the road, that doesn't feel like a good situation for them overall.
Yeah. And to even back that up a little bit more, you look at some of the results here, like Brentford so far this season, they've 3 wins at home, 3 goals total against Crystal Palace, 4 against Southampton. There was the 1-1 draw against West Ham, which, doesn't really come as a surprise given the way that West Ham kind of operates. And then that 8 goals against Wolverhampton last time out that they were at home. And then, of course, Ipswich conceding a fair bit of goals away from home too. So I think the over is the safe play here, at least over 2.5. The more concerning part is Brentford winning this game. So, but overall, that's the bet. And I think, it'll be tough for Ipswich to kind of bounce back away from home.
There you go. Brentford money line over 2.5 goals. That's plus 125. I got Aston Villa and Bournemouth also on a Saturday. Aston Villa are minus 120 to win. That number's kind of jumped around a little bit, but not too much. Bournemouth are plus 300. For the first time all season, Aston Villa are almost pretty much at 100%. Philogene is out suspended, but he's not expected to be a major player on the team for the most part this season when everyone's healthy. So pretty good signs for Aston Villa against Bournemouth. And this is just, so the 3 matches I'm talking about, I don't know. I don't know if I was more confident in these earlier in the week, but I looked at them. I looked at all my bets this morning. I was kind of tentative on all of them. And I went a little back and forth. It was just so hard to read these games with these European matches. So I went back. I'm looking at these Aston Villa results following midweek games, midweek Champions League games. They've yet to allow a goal in Champions League games, but what does that mean for Premier League? And then a midweek EFL Cup game. So following a win at Young Boys, they followed up with a 3-1 win against Wolverhampton, but that required 2 goals in the final minutes there to win 3-1. After a midweek game against Wycombe, they drew 2-2 at Ipswich. After their win against Bayern Munich, a game against Manchester United, I took a money line. It was kind of a dead game. Nothing really happens. That finished scoreless. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of tentative here. I was originally on, okay, let's do Aston Villa money line. And you look at some of those results, it's basically a letdown every time they play midweek. So it's like, I don't know if I can trust this minus 120 in Aston Villa. Bournemouth also a tough team. They're coming off a win against Arsenal, feeling some confidence. So I went with a single game parlay, double chance, both teams to score. Aston Villa, at least in the Premier League, I know they have 3 clean sheets in Champions League, but in the Premier League, just seems like they're allowing goals. Bournemouth are a pretty good pressing team as well, so I think there would be a mistake there at somewhere on the pitch for Aston Villa. But let's just do Aston Villa double chance, both teams to score. It's only minus 120, but this was a difficult one for me to look at this morning. Do you have any better read on this one?
No, this feels a tough game to bet. Just Bournemouth coming off a huge win against Arsenal last weekend. Obviously, the Arsenal was down a man for a fair bit of the match, but I mean that's a team that's brimming in confidence. Villa on the other side, also a team that's full of confidence. I guess if you would have told me that they would have be perfect in the Champions League so far this season, I would. And when we started out the season, I probably would have said, yeah, right. But I mean, three really impressive wins. But I liked your point about it. It's just really difficult to go, go win huge games in the midweek and then come back and play like 3-4 days later against a side that has been training all week and hasn't had to go play these types of games. So, the ode to the double chance here is definitely a safer play. But yeah, the both yeah. It's tough. This is a tough game to bet, and I wouldn't be surprised here to see Bournemouth come away with a point.
Yeah, I was initially looking at under on corners because Aston Villa are really good at not allowing corners, like under 4.5 Bournemouth corners. And then I had a single game parlay thrown up in my at some point earlier in the week where it's like both teams over 3.5 corners, and I was like, so my thought process has just changed to go 180 at some point this week. So avoided corners, and I'm just doing this double chance, both teams to score, seeing what happens here. So I prefer Aston Villa, but just the fact that these midweek matches, they haven't really shown greatness. They haven't been able to show their top game following midweek, so I'm not going to take it. But next game, we got Man City are a massive favorite at home against Southampton. They're minus 1,000. That's about a 90% chance to win. Southampton plus 1,900 to win. I think that is Chris's bet right there, plus 1,900 to win. Same injuries for Manchester City as throughout the week. Doku, Grealish still out. De Bruyne still out. Kyle Walker still out. So all those guys are still out. Southampton. I'm not sure how much injuries matter at this point, but Smallbone re-injured his hamstring last week. So does Southampton have a chance? They basically moved to having three center backs the last couple games. Do you think that changes anything at all in this spot where they're just going to sit back and City are going to have 80% possession and they're going to try for a 1-0 win and get a goal off the counter, something like that?
Yeah, it's just not sustainable against a team like City. I mean, you see the minus 1,000 odds. Obviously, the bookmakers know what's going on here. And like you mentioned, moving to three. Did they have three center backs against Leicester last weekend?
Yeah, Kyle Walker-Peters was I'm fairly certain they did. Kyle Walker-Peters is basically playing as a faux center back, and Ryan Manning they had on the left wing. So
okay. Well, either way, I mean, he conceded 3 goals to Leicester City playing with 3 at the back. I don't think that changes much, and if so, they might even concede more with City coming into town. And so it's minus 1,000 is crazy odds. It's probably the highest odds that we've seen this season for a money line bet, which doesn't really surprise you. When I was picking my games, you always look to go for the heavy. City's a tough team to bet on because they're always such huge favorites, and it's always hard to find value unless you're willing to go over like 4 goals or go over like to win by 3 goals or whatever it might be. So I've always found you can, when they face like more like mid-table sides or mid to upper table sides like Newcastle, you can start to see a little value. But when they're playing these teams that are like kind of bottom feeders like Southampton here, it makes it difficult. But what I do like here is Erling Haaland. Guy's just a machine in terms of scoring goals here. And initially looked at you can find some interesting odds for like the 2+ goals or 3+ goals. A hat trick could be a really fun bet. But I went back to the bones here. I've got Erling Haaland 3 shots on goal or more. It's plus 100. And then you kind of look at some of the data, and he's got 23 shots on goal in 8 Premier League matches so far this season. He's taken 4 shots on goal, at least 4 shots on goal in 4 of the 8 matches, which is pretty insane. Southampton concede the most shots on goal of any Premier League side. They're conceding about 7 per 90 minutes. So I think there's plenty of room for Haaland to at least get those sort of opportunities. And then I might have been like thinking too critically about it, but like City coming off a Champions League game. Is Holland going to be rested? I don't really think so. You look at his game log here, and he's been playing a ton. So like, there's the opportunity that maybe he sits, but he's played 90 in pretty much every single EPL match, and then the Champions League. There's one game where he came off in the 61st minute against. I forget. This team is, I think it's a Croatian team. This was their first Champions League game. So he's really pretty much played 89 plus minutes. Slovan, yeah, he came off in the 61st minute, but otherwise he's played at least 89 minutes in every single match. So I feel pretty good about him getting to start again. And then, even if it's like 70 minutes or something like that, I still think that he's got plenty of opportunities to hit these 3 shots on goal. Plus 100, which I was kind of surprised to see. So, and Southampton, like I said, they're going to sit this.
Yeah, it's a massive number here. Yeah, 3 shots on goal at plus 100 is just a pretty big number. He had 0 shots on goal against Wolverhampton last week, 2 shots on goal against Fulham, 2 shots on goal against Newcastle. So you have all those games in there. But yeah, as you say at the top, this is one of the more difficult games to bet on for Manchester City. I was looking at this one initially because in recent weeks it was pretty easy to grab. I think it was just like simple Manchester City minus 4.5 corners for the game kind of a thing. And I think this one was minus 5.5, minus 6.5 or something like that. So it was already a massive number. And I also think this could be a game where maybe they just score early and the corners don't come. That's sometimes that happens in these games where Man City score early and it's not a situation like the Wolverhampton game where, okay, they're having trouble actually securing the win, securing a lead here. So they're racking up corners, they're racking up opportunities, crossing, getting shots on target, that kind of thing. So the corners come, but this is a situation where maybe the corners won't come. So I almost looked at Man City like under 8.5 corners, but I did that one time against Sheffield United, and it came back to bite me. So I'm not sure I'm ever gonna do that again. But
yeah, it's tough not to take the corners over when they're playing, sides that are near the bottom of the table.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna have 80% possession of the ball pretty much no matter what happens. So it's kind of a tricky bet in terms of corners. But Erling Haaland 3+ shots on target plus 100. Next game we're talking about, I was initially going to start with Chelsea here, but I got Manchester United at West Ham. I just wanted to relate this one to what I was talking about with Aston Villa. So West Ham are plus 190 at home, plus 135 for Manchester United. The first thing I wrote down this week was West Ham money line. That's what I was initially on, and then I thought about some more. Can they win without Kudus? Can they score without Kudus? And Kudus is suspended for 3 matches. I'm just not certain that I want to bet on West Ham at home without Kudus. I guess that's the issue there. If you look at some of the West Ham results, I know they're 15th in the table, not very good. But if you just look at some of their games that they've already played this season at home, I think I must have taken the money line against Ipswich Town earlier a couple weeks ago, but they already played Man City at home. They already played Chelsea at home. They already played at Liverpool. They already played at Tottenham. So they have all these difficult matches. Yeah, I think I said all those, but they have all these difficult matches here. That's kind of why they're 15th in the table, I think. And then Manchester United, bringing that back to what I said about Aston Villa. I'm just going to read off some results following midweek games here because I think it's pretty relevant just when looking at this one. So even the EFL Cup against Barnsley, Manchester United followed that up, scoreless draw at Crystal Palace. Got hammered by Tottenham 3-0. That was at Old Trafford. They played at Porto. The following game, it was that Aston Villa match, in which nothing happened. I'd say Aston Villa were still slightly the better team in that one, the scoreless draw. Now they're in Fenerbahce. And this morning, Eric Ten Hag said they stayed overnight. They flew back to Manchester today on Friday. So they were getting however much training today. They'll train Saturday. Just not a great schedule for Manchester United here. And they pretty much started almost all of their A squad guys outside of Bruno Fernandes because he was suspended on Thursday. But you throw that in there. Casemiro, Eriksen in the midfield, unless Ugarte gets another start. I like West Ham a little more, and kind of like the Aston Villa thing. Instead of taking money line, because I'm still worried about no Kudus, went to the single game parlay route. We got West Ham double chance and under 3.5 goals, plus 165 odds. I initially wrote down under 4.5 goals, but I was like, you know what? Let's get some more odds here. Let's get some more money here. Let's get some better return. So West Ham double chance under 3.5 goals plus 165. I think under 2.5 might be in play here. It just feels like a game that Manchester United kind of just want to kill from the start and have nothing happen. And maybe that happens. But either way, do you prefer a side in this one?
No, not at all. West Ham have been they've made 8 points from 8 matches. Not great. They've been -4 goal differential. United,
yeah, look at their schedule. Didn't you just listen to me? Come on. They played the most difficult schedule.
I did listen to you, but that doesn't mean that I can't state the facts. So, tough schedule. United, every time it's like this yo-yo of get a good result and then get a bad result. Get a good result, Ten Hag stays. Oh, 2 bad results, he might be out. Give him time. It's just this never-ending, back and forth of what's actually going on with them. This is a match you might just you kind of, I wouldn't say hate watch, but it'll just be fun for the neutral to be like, wow, which team is worse right now. So I have no feelings for this game.
It feels like a 1-1 type of game, I think, to me.
Yeah.
Unless West Ham sneak through a 2-1 win or something. It feels 1-1-ish. Whoever gets an early lead, I think the other team is just going to put it on the final 45 or whatever it is and get that equalizer. Just kind of feels like a boring, mostly boring game where a couple goals sprout up here and there kind of a thing. So, all right, we got the big one of the week here. It's not the last one we're talking about, but since Chris is on the schedule here, we got Arsenal, our home, against Liverpool. We got some line movement for obvious reasons. It was plus 115 4 days ago now. I guess it just simply has gone up. People have been betting against Arsenal since the Saliba red card is kind of what it comes down to. And then Calafiori got injured as well midweek. Arsenal are now plus 150 to win. Liverpool are plus 185 to win. The draw is plus 235. So as I was saying, Calafiori's out. Saliba's out suspended. Unclear about Saka if he's going to return or not. There's been people saying, yeah, he's been training. He's going to be ready. I don't know if I trust them on Twitter. There's a chance Timber's back as well. That's kind of the situation. Odegaard's still out, and then Alisson's still out for Liverpool. And I guess Diego Jota is also out. He got injured last week in their league match. So Darwin Nunez probably going to start up front. But another game where, I don't know, I guess you might be on the Liverpool side, so I don't want to say anything here.
Oh, geez, don't give anything away here, Adam. We've got a tasty one on Sunday. This is I'm very excited for this game. Is it does the UK do daylight savings time? Why are the matches 1 hour? I guess this is typically at 8:30 for me, but it's at 9:30 on Sunday. So I'm not sure why it's a little bit later for me.
No, it's this weekend.
Okay, in the UK, gotcha. So that makes sense.
Sunday, yeah.
So little extra hour to sleep in, get revved up for this game. You mentioned Arsenal working with a number of suspension and injury issues to their starting 11. Might be missing what I would say probably up to 4 starters, maybe 5 starters here. So certainly makes it a little bit more interesting. So they're still favored though, right? They're at plus 140 at home.
Yeah, 150 to 185.
Yeah, so odds makers still like them as the favorites, which is interesting. They are coming off some midweek play. So is Liverpool. This one, to be candid here, was probably the one that I had the most difficult trying to find a good bet. I initially looked at the under because these teams both, typically have been, they've both been good defensively, but you kind of look at the history and there's been a lot of over 2.5s for them. Arsenal lately have been kind of getting the better of Liverpool, at least in the Premier League. So a lot of question marks. But ultimately, I'm just going to go back to the honey hole. I love Mo Salah. He's more than more than a lot of things here. He's been electric to start the season. He's got 5 goals and 5 assists currently. He has filled it up in a number of ways. He's actually and that's just in the league. He's got 6 goals, 7 assists in the Champions League and Premier League. So he's in 11 matches. So he's been great. Traditionally been able to find the back of the net and or assists against Arsenal. He's got 10 goals in 16 matches and 2 assists. So helping teammates score or scoring himself is not anything new for the man in these types of big matches. So I'm actually going to go Mo Salah to score or give an assist. It's plus 120. I had a lot of other considerations that I wanted. One big one that I'm just going to list here that could be fun, and given the injuries to Arsenal, is Liverpool to win. I think it was to tie, or what was it? It was to win in a shutout. I listed in our chat. It was
like 380, I think.
Plus 380. So if you think, the injuries that Arsenal has right now are a big issue for them, Liverpool looked pretty good to start the season. I might take this one. It's plus 380. So winning a shutout, which is I'm not taking this as my bet. I'm going to take the little bit safer play here. Safer play with
simple
quotation marks. Simple play.
Simple and safe.
But that's a fun one. So if you feel some type of way, that might be an interesting little bet. Where do you think this game goes? I have a tough time reading this one because Arsenal's kind of been giving it to Liverpool lately in the league.
If Saka starts, would you change your mind on that Liverpool clean sheet bet?
I would feel differently about it. I think the odds would go up. Don't you think? Like if it's like an hour before the game and Saka gets into the starting 11, don't you think the clean sheet to win in a clean sheet would maybe push further towards 400?
Possible. I'm not sure how much it'd move, but yeah. I mean, Arteta came out after the midweek game and was like, "We're gonna be flying on Sunday," and it was like,
"Oh, hilarious quote! Hilarious."
Like, what does that mean? Because you haven't been flying in months here, so like, I don't know. Like, what is that? Just like coach speak here, Arteta speak that it's actually going to be a dead game here, where it's going to be pretty ugly, like that Man City type games, or what?
Does it mean that he got the speakers back out and started playing, fan noise at training from, like in the Amazon show where he's like, we're going to Anfield. He brings his speakers out to training. Like come on, like we're gonna be flying. Of course. Well, what else are you gonna do? You're a Premier League team. You better be flying.
If Klopp was still around, I'd say, okay, this match might be flying, but just the way that Liverpool play under Slot, like I don't know how this match is going to be flying. Just with the way Arsenal played this season, with the way Liverpool played this season, it just feels like, it was last week. I think you took Liverpool win, and I can't remember what you took, but that was against Chelsea, right? So
winning over 2.5, I think it was, or under 3.
Under.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I had something similar. Whereas Liverpool, I think a double chance under 3.5. Yeah, so and you in money line, and it just felt like in the first half, is that scoreless in the first half, and then right away second half goals started coming. Like I still think Chelsea create more opportunities and do more than Arsenal do. So I just don't think it's going to be even as exciting, as potent as that game was. So it just feels like an under 2.5 game to me. Unless they are high flying here, unless they are the high flying bird here, as Arteta would say.
Yeah. If you like the tie here or the under 2.5, you can combine them. I looked at this one initially thinking it might be like a 1-1. And the tie and under 2.5 is plus 340. So if you really like that, go nuts. Otherwise, you can probably get better odds on a 1-1 bet too. I don't know what that would specifically be, but pretty fun odds there.
Yeah, probably like plus 400 or something. That's what they usually are for these type of games. Next one, final one on Sunday. We got Chelsea are home against Newcastle. Chelsea are up to minus 140 to win. Newcastle are plus 320. Chelsea won at Panathinaikos on Thursday, but as usual, they rotated their entire 11. They've been doing that all season in Europa Conference League. They've been rotating all season, so I'm not too worried about that. Not similar to the Manchester Uniteds and the Aston Villas. So nothing to worry about there. Newcastle have been an interesting team, so that was kind of one thing that popped up for me. They played well against Manchester City. They outplayed Everton at Everton. Probably should have won, but it was scoreless. Outplayed Brighton by I'd say a decent margin at home last week, but then they lost 1-0, which is another unfortunate one of my losing bets there. So they've been playing well. They just haven't been scoring. So I'm not sure how that's going to help them against Chelsea here. But I'm on the Chelsea side. I just think that they're at home. Newcastle have just been kind of some off and on results, whether just not playing well overall or just struggling to score. I'm on Chelsea money line. Instead of Chelsea money line, they're at minus 140 now instead of taking that by itself. I added Chelsea over 4.5 corners to get some more out of it. So Chelsea money line with Chelsea over 4.5 corners plus 125. I just think they're at home. They're going to be on the front foot, I think, for a good portion of this. And I'm taking them to win. So do you agree? Chelsea to win in this spot.
This is another fun game, but yeah, I like Chelsea to win. They frankly, and Arne Slot said this last week, but they played better than Liverpool in that game and easily could have won it. Newcastle probably not as good of competition for them, and so I definitely think that this Chelsea to win here is the right way to move.
Yeah, the only thing was you look back at some of the recent home results. Home against Nottingham Forest, home against Crystal Palace, 1-1 results. But those teams are just like sitting back, sitting in a low block and just trying to accept the blows kind of thing. I don't know if Newcastle are going to play like that. So I think it's going to be a little more open to allow Chelsea to actually score goals and win this game, unlike the Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace one. But those are the 6 bets there. Pull up the FPL cheat sheet. Here are the odds for all the matches. You got anything else for game week 9, Chris?
No, I'm just excited. There's not an early match, given that we have today's Crystal. What's the Friday game? It's Leicester and Forest. So there is one today. We didn't, obviously didn't hit a bet on that one because it would be in about 2 hours. So that's kind of fun. So no early game Saturday, which is nice. I'm going to sleep in a little bit and then wake up for these 7 a.m.s. And then I like the setup of 3 different matches early on Sunday. A pretty good variety there rather than like the 6 games all in that one time slot. Yeah, it should be fun, and I'm looking forward to watching a fair bit of these games.
Yeah, I'm not sure the last time we saw this weird schedule where there's no really early game on Saturday or Sunday. So a little something, maybe the TV broadcast networks are changing things up a little bit, see what can get them more viewers. But that is all we have for game week 9. You got more bets. Oh, you got the Sounders. You got the Sounders.
I got a Sounders bet last week. Went to the game last week. It was decision day against Portland Timbers. We drew up.
Lost.
I forgot what I did, but we drew up. A couple of me and my buddies drew up I think it was Sounders in over 2.5. That one lost because it was a 1-1 tie. Refereeing was abysmal. Let me just say that.
But it's MLS. You put that into your
MLS. Yeah, you sign that. You got to sign up for that kind of stuff. There was a red card for Obed Vargas, like for dissent. I was like, come on. But anyways, so I'll be in. They got the first playoff game Monday. We're going to be hosting Houston. So I'm just trying to cook up a bet here, but I think I'm going to go on the spread and see if I can get what is minus 1.5 for these guys. Plus 195 for the Sounders at minus 1.5. I think they kind of take it to them, and they can kind of take the foot off the pedal in the second leg here. The second leg of 3 legs, I guess it's win like a best of 3, but I like the Sounders to win by 2 goals. They're actually a pretty impressive stat here. Inter Miami, which was the best team all season in Milan, best team all season with Messi on it. The Sounders, I think, were 12-3-3. To end the season with the second most points behind Inter Miami. So they've been playing really well, and I'm going to look for them to win by 2 goals, plus 195.
Seattle have not beaten Houston by more than 1 goals, or they have beaten Houston by 1 goals just once since 2018.
Great time for the second time.
Last time was 2021, but that is your MLS bet of the week. Again, I got corners and wagers. I got 4 bets on that. So check out our YouTube, youtube.com/@RotoWire Soccer. I got 3 more. Oh no, I got 4 more bets in my article at rotowire.com/soccer. I got 11 bets this week, including this one, including on this show. So check all those out. Make sure to like and subscribe this video as usual. But Chris, you can find him at CHR Owen. I am at RotoZdroik. Thank you for listening to this. We'll see everyone for game week 10 next week. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.